In this lecture, we'll discuss the Hacking Lab environment. In this course, we'll be using Linux as the hacking and penetration testing operating system. I suppose you use Windows or Mac as your main OS, and in this case, you have to install Linux in a VM in VirtualBox or VMware. I'll show you how to do it in the next lecture. There are hundreds of Linux distributions available, and I'm sure you wonder what distro you should install. Even though the security concepts and hacking labs do not depend on a specific Linux distribution, and you can run them on any Linux, my advice is to install Kali Linux and eventually, if your system resources permit it, a second distribution like Ubuntu or Linux Mint in another VM. There are some hacking labs that require two Linux systems. These are also the distros I have used in this course. Let's see what Kali Linux is. Kali Linux is the world's most popular, offensive, security-optimized Linux distribution. Based on Debian testing, Kali includes more than 600 penetration testing tools, including the big ones like Metasploit, Nmap, and AirCrackNG, but also a wide variety of more obscure and specialized tools. You'll find tens of hacking tools used for information gathering, vulnerability analysis, wireless attacks, web application assessment, exploitation, stress testing, or forensics tools. Moreover, Kali is free and always will be. So the advantage of using Kali is that you don't have to set anything up. All the needed tools are already installed, configured, and ready to be launched. Of course, if for any reason you prefer to use another distribution, you can do it. Just that you have to install and configure the security applications you want to use, and sometimes is not the easiest job. Note that Kali is a Linux distribution specifically geared towards professional penetration testers and security specialists. Given its unique nature, it is not a recommended distribution if you are unfamiliar with Linux at all, or if you are looking for a general-purpose Linux desktop distribution for development, web design, gaming, and so on. For those activities, a distribution like Ubuntu or Linux Mint would be more appropriate. Another cybersecurity Linux distribution I want you to be aware of is Parrot OS. It's secure, lightweight, free, and portable. It could be more appropriate than Kali for older systems because it uses less resources. Like Kali, Parrot OS is based on Debian and designed with security and privacy in mind. It includes a full portable laboratory for all kinds of cybersecurity operations, from penetration testing to digital forensics and reverse engineering. But it also includes everything needed to develop your own software or keep your data secure. The graphical interface of Parrot OS is built using Ubuntu Mate. You can install both Kali and Parrot OS in a VM and take a look at each of them because they are the two most popular operating systems used by most of the security professionals. Welcome back! In this lecture, I'll show you how to install Kali Linux in a VM. We'll use VirtualBox because it's free, but if you want, you can use VMware as well. The prerequisites are at least 5 GB of RAM and 20 GB free space on your disk. The first step is to download VirtualBox installer for your OS, probably Windows or Mac. The installer can be found on the download page here. So download the binary version for Windows, Mac or Linux. After downloading, run the executable to begin installing the software. The installation process is straightforward. Just click on Next a few times and at the end on Finish. We won't go deeper into this because it's really simple. I'd also recommend you to install another piece of software which is optional but recommended. It's the VirtualBox extension pack. There is only one version for all platforms. So I'm downloading VirtualBox extension pack. It was downloaded and I'm clicking on it. In my case, I'll click on Upgrade, but for you, here will be Install. And it's done. This is necessary if you want USB support or other advanced features. After installing VirtualBox, we go ahead and download Kali Linux. There are three possibilities for the installation. To install it as the main OS, and in this case we download this ISO file, create a bootable USB disk using a special software, and then boot up the machine using the USB disk. A second option is to use it live, and that means that Kali Linux will not be installed on your machine, but will run directly from an USB disk. And the third way is to install it in a VM. There are Kali Linux virtual images for both VMware and VirtualBox on offensivesecurity.com. Kali Linux is developed, funded and maintained by Offensive Security, which is an information security training company. The Kali Linux virtual image will be imported in VirtualBox. So I'm going to offensivesecurity.com and download Kali Linux. I'm clicking on Kali and InfoSec Tools. And Kali virtual image downloads. So I'm downloading Kali Linux VirtualBox images for 64-bit CPUs. This is the easiest way to install Kali. The image comes as an OVA file. An OVA file is an open virtualization appliance that contains a compressed installable version of a virtual machine. When you open an OVA file, it extracts the VM and imports it into the virtualization software you have installed on your computer, in this case in VirtualBox. This is the OVA file I've just downloaded and it's on my desktop. And I'm double-clicking the OVA file. These are the suggested settings for the VM, and you can change them by double-clicking on an item or disable others using checkboxes. For example, if I want another amount of RAM for the VM, I'm double-clicking the RAM item and changing it. Or if I don't want the sound card enabled, I'm disabling the option. You can change these options also at a later time. And I'm importing the VM. It takes a while, but at the end, you have Kali Linux installed as a VM. I'm pausing the video until it's done. Kali Linux was imported and I'm starting it. Once started, I can log in with the user Kali and the password Kali. This is a non-privileged user. Perfect. The network card is put into NAT mode, so I can also access the internet. You can change the network settings in this window. Okay, the internet is working. That's how you install Kali Linux as a VM in VirtualBox. In the next lecture, I'll show you the top things to do after installing Kali Linux. See you in a second. After installing Kali Linux, there are a few things you should do, or at least be aware of. The most important thing to be aware of is the Kali user. Starting with Kali 2020.1, you cannot log in anymore using the root user and password Tor. Now, a standard non-privileged user called Kali is available, and its password is also Kali. So I'm logging in with Kali and password Kali. Many, if not all, administrative tasks, including running hacking tools, require root. They must be started as root. I'm opening a terminal, and for the recording, I'm changing the theme to a lighter one. You'll see it better. And I'm also changing the font. I want a bigger size. To become root, you execute the command sudo su in a terminal. And the password is Kali. I am root. All commands executed in this terminal will start with root privileges. Notice that you are root in this terminal only temporarily until you log out. To log out, you type exit or press on Ctrl D. If you open another terminal, you will not be logged in as root, but as the non-privileged user Kali. So to become root in this terminal, you should execute sudo su again and Kali. If you don't want to temporarily become root in a terminal, you can execute a single command as root using sudo and the command, like this. I'm logged as Kali and I'm executing sudo apt install nmap. The apt command will start with root privileges and the password is Kali. That's how you execute commands as root. Next, you should install the guest additions in the host VM, so in Kali. They consist of device drivers and system applications that optimize the guest operating system for better performance and usability. The most important features are better mouse integration, shared folders, and clipboard between the host and the guest operating systems, better video support, and so on. So go to Devices, and then click on Insert Guest Additions CD image. A new window pops up, or you'll find it mounted on the desktop. This is provided as a single CD-ROM image file, which is called vboxguestadditions.iso. This is located in the installation directory of VirtualBox, and it means that it came with VirtualBox and it's already available. On Kali, it was mounted in /media/cd-rom0. I'm opening a new terminal and moving to that directory. Let's see its content. Here, we see some executable files for different operating systems: Linux, Windows, or Mac. We are running Linux, so we are gonna execute the Linux script, which is vbox linux additions.run, this one. So as root, I'm executing the script. Sudo bash and the name of the script. This is one way of executing scripts in Linux. I'm entering the password, which is Kali. It's asking if I wish to continue, and I'm writing yes. And it's running. It's adding some kernel modules, and so on. I'm pausing the video until it's done. And it's done. After it has finished, it's recommended to restart the VM in order to load the new kernel modules. So you could simply execute reboot at this moment. I'm not doing it now. Another thing you should be aware of is that the non-privileged user Kali has another path variable than the user root. This means that if I run a command that exists like ifconfig, it will say command not found even though the command is there. You see, it says command not found. The reason is that the command is in the /usr sbin directory. And it doesn't search for commands there. It's searching for commands only in these directories. Notice that usr sbin is not there. What you can do is to execute the command using its absolute path like this. Or you could add the directory to path like this. I'm opening .bashrc from user's home directory. At the end of the file, I'm adding export path equals $path : and the directory usr sbin. And I'm saving the file. I've used the Vim editor, which is not straightforward if you are not used to it. If you haven't used Vim before, don't try it now, but use another editor. For example, this simple text editor. This is the file you have to edit to change the path. I'm closing the terminal because the new path settings will take effect only in new terminals. In a new terminal, I can run ifconfig as Kali without using the full absolute path. It's in the path. During this course, we'll use the terminal a lot. If you want to customize it, you go to File, Preferences, and in this window, you can change the font, the theme, and many more. Another thing you can do is to update all applications. You can do that by executing as root apt update && apt full upgrade. So I'm becoming root, sudo su, Kali is the password, and apt update && apt full -upgrade. Note that it will take some time, maybe a few minutes.